stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everyone, welcome tonight. We'll start off with a roll call from Kathy.
You got it. Saban. Present. Schreiber. Here. Bergbauer.
Here.
Galogli.
Here.
Deskin.
Here.
Lobes.
Here.
Bartleson.
Here.
Paretta.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Is Steve's here to open us in prayer, please?
Dear God, as we open our meeting up in prayer and we remember our fallen brothers from years ago, I thank you for their service, even though they made the ultimate sacrifice. And God Almighty, I call out in your grace and mercy that Lockport would never experience that again. And I thank you for the hedge of protection that you kept around our officers and our fire personnel. And God, when they go on calls, that you would keep a hedge of protection around them still, continually, and give them wisdom and guidance and direction and discernment on how to handle the calls, and just continue to keep them safe. And again, I thank you for all the people that make this city work, make it happen. I'm grateful for them, and I just ask for your help during this meeting tonight, that you would give them wisdom in making the right decisions and help them and bless their families. And Lord, I just ask that you would just bless the businesses as we're coming out of moving into a different phase. Lord, that you would just bless them and give the business owners peace and just bless them financially and bring people to spend money in our town. And I thank you for how everything's been working so well. In your name, amen and amen.
And thank you. If we could all stand so the color guard can post.
Color guard. Carry. Coat. Forward. Up. Hard side. Up. Wheel rear. Up. Detail. Halt. Present. On. Order. Coat. Right. Face. Forward. Up. Colors. Halt. Left. Right. Order. Arm.
All right, very good. I'm going to, we could sit for this next part, I think. Or, yeah. So I would like to just read a resolution. You know, before I do, I just say a couple things. You know, a lot of people don't realize this, but, you know, half of our budget actually is for the police department, because public safety actually is our number one mission as a council and as a city. It's taking care of residents, making sure they're safe. And our police department has done a magnificent job doing just that. Over the years, you know, we have been on consistently on America's safest city list, safest city in Illinois, and that is absolutely because of the hard work by the men and women on our police department. And we're very grateful for that. You guys honor us and our citizens by all the work that you do. And, you know, sometimes in the line of duty, even here in Lockport, you know, we've had people fall, officers. And tonight, you know, we're going to have a resolution here kind of honoring two of the officers that were killed here in the line of duty. So I'm going to read this resolution. It's a resolution assigning honorary street names for Lockport police officers killed in the line of duty. Whereas the city values the work of its law enforcement officers to serve and protect its residents, whereas the work of law enforcement is inherently dangerous and officers risk health and life on a daily basis, whereas police officer Carl D. Dubson, who served the city of Lockport for 27 days, was on a motorcycle patrol on September 30th, 1929, and died in the line of duty as a result of a traffic collision on Illinois Route 4 near Delwood Park. And whereas police officer Daniel A. Jeremiah, who served the city of Lockport for just over 1 year, was responding to a call of a man threatening others with a shotgun on April 13th, 1988, and died in the line of duty as a result of a traffic collision as he responded to this call on State Street near High Road. And whereas the city of Lockport desires that the sacrifices of these officers be honored and their memory be preserved as a means to inspire community members, police officers, and family members of the heroes who sacrificed their lives to emulate them in their daily lives. Now, therefore, it should be resolved by the mayor and the members of the city council of the city of Lockport, Will County, Illinois, that Section 1, additional signage be added to the existing signage at Westwood Drive to be named in the honor of Lockport Police Officer Carl A. Dubson, and Section 2, additional signage be added to the existing signage at Weiss Lane to be named in the honor of Lockport Police Officer Daniel A. Jeremiah. I'd like to do a roll call, if that's acceptable. Start with Renee.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right, that is unanimous, and it passes this day here in February 2021, and signed by me. All right, Terry, would you like to say a few words, please?
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about each of the officers. We'll start with Daniel Jeremiah. Daniel died in the line of duty on April 13, 1988, as a result of a catastrophic car crash on State Street at High Road on April 1st, 1988. Officer Jeremiah was responding to a man threatening another person with a shotgun. That call was later determined to be unfounded. Daniel Jeremiah was 31 years old at the time of his death. He was a member of the Lockport Police Department for 1 year. Daniel left behind his wife, Sue, a daughter, Brenda, who was 8 years old at the time of his death, and a son, Daniel, 5 years old at the time of his death. Sue, Brenda, and Daniel endured much pain and suffering at the loss of their husband and father. You know, I've been to numerous police funerals, and we always say we'll never forget. But we do forget. The memorial outside the police department reminds us of their sacrifice. We have the ribbons on the flags that we have here today that show their names, but we do forget. You know, there's no current Lockport officer on the police department now when Daniel Jeremiah died, so it's easy to forget. It's doing something like this that we remember their legacy. And I would like to thank Officer Kevin Brock, who's here today, because it was his idea to have these signs made and keep their memory alive. So I'm very pleased today to tell you that Officer Daniel Jeremiah's daughter Brenda, Bill, and her husband Justin are here with us today. We'd like to present them with a copy of the honorary street sign that will memorize her father's sacrifice. A copy of the sign was mounted today at the corner of Weiss Lane and Westwood Drive. Thank you, Public Works, for getting that done so quickly. Mr. Mayor, if you wouldn't mind presenting the sign.
So your name is?
Brenda.
Brenda Jeremiah, and? Justin. COVID handshakes, I hate all this, I'm sorry. But this is really wonderful, I'm so glad that this will be going up, and thank you. Let's present it to you so you guys can see it.
Thank you.
means a lot to our family.
Want to hold it, and we'll look at some pictures of you over here. if we get- Tell you what, would you mind if we get a picture in front of the honor guard?
Yeah,
too?
absolutely.
Let's get one over here.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice background. Yeah.
All right. Very good, bravo.
So tonight, we'd also like to recognize Carl Dubson. Lockport Officer Carl Dubson died in the line of duty on September 30th, 1929. He died chasing a speeder on Route 4A, which is now known as Archer/State Street / Illinois Route 171. He was chasing a speeder and his motorcycle wheels got caught in the streetcar tracks and at the Delwood Park curve, and he died as a result of those injuries. This was a month before the stock market crash in 1929, to put it in perspective. Carl Dubson was 27 years old at the time of his death. He was on the department 27 days. Carl left behind a wife, May, 2 children, Robert Dubson, who was 5 years old at the time of his death, and Jean Dubson, who was 1 year old at the time of his death. Robert and Jean Dubson endured much heartache and pain growing up without a father. Their early lives were not difficult. Social Security didn't start till 6 years after he died. There was no 100 Club, there was no social services, so you can imagine there was really no support for that family. Carl's daughter, who was 1 year old when he died, was going to be here tonight, but because of health reasons, she decided not to be here. But we do have Carl's granddaughter, Diane Hoffman, and her husband, David, who's a retired Naperville police officer. They're here today, and we'd like to present both of them with a duplicate copy of the street sign honoring your grandfather.
Oh, that's nice.
The sign will be placed, or actually was placed today at Weiss Lane and Westwood Drive, adjacent to the police headquarters. Again, Mayor Straight, if you wouldn't mind presenting that one.
Oh my, this is long overdue. Well, thank you again to the Dreamas and to the Dubsons. Thank you for letting us do this very long overdue, and we appreciate the opportunity. So, go in peace. God bless.
Good night. Thank you.
Liaison reports, I don't know if we're,
Yep. All right. We got anything going on for liaison reports tonight?
I do have some stuff, so,
Please.
and all the police are just left, so. Terry asked me to say on February 25th, anyone can come to the police station to wish Sitco a happy retirement. Our police dog is retiring, so that is February 25th. If anyone would like to attend that, he'll be signing off then.
What time?
Did you say 10 o'clock, was it, Terry, or what time was 10 o'clock? And then secondly, also, our wonderful police, 6 of the police officers who participated in the No Shave November, they today visited one of the students in Oak Prairie who was battling cancer, and all those fundraising efforts that they made for No Shave November, so while they're growing in their beard, they presented a check to that family today, which is really nice. And then also, one of the questions we had earlier about Public Works with the shipping fees for a vehicle that will be on consent today, I just wanted to say Brent was able to reduce the price with Public Works from the almost $5,000 charge to $1,700. So quite a large reduction in price just by calling and asking. So that's good. So instead of discussing it on consent, you'll know that that changed. I think that's great. And then just a quick update for maybe some of you that don't know or do know. There is a small audit going on with MFT funds with the state right now. The state has not audited the city of Lockport since 2004, and that is something that should be audited every 5 years. So the state's last audit was 16 years ago.
All right. What was that Sitco time again? Was it 10 a.m. you said?
10 a.m. on the 25th. And if you haven't, been familiar with that, I mean, the K-9 and their partner is a very serious deal, and there will be other K-9 programs from other communities there, and he'll be walking kind of through them, a crowd of them on the way out, so it'll be pretty moving. So if you have the opportunity and the time to get there, please arrive.
And actually, we will present a resolution officially before the City Council on February 17th, indicating the retirement of the K-9, and that K-9 will be sold to the handler, Officer Granger. So it will be presented for the City Council for approval.
Is there any talk about another dog to be?
That's up to the chief. I mean, certainly we support whatever he desires, So right now, I'm sure there'll be a resting period without one, and to be discussed in the future.
All right, me friends, anything else? Anybody else have anything?
It's not a liaison report, but it's a question, goes back to our last meeting. It's for Public Works. We awarded the 5th through 9th Street project, and since I abstained, I was not able to ask any questions. But I was curious, you did not announce, I don't think you even talked about it at all. When was the completion date, or what is the calendar dates on that project, and when does it plan on getting started?
The completion date for this project, 5th to 9th, right now is the 1st of October. So the plan right now is for the project to begin, weather permitting, within the next month or so. So it will be, again, weather permitting. I would say that if everything weather-wise works perfectly, it could be as early as the end of February that we would actually have water mains started. Again, this is, I can't stress enough, weather dependent. If weather does prohibit us, the latest that they can start is the middle of April. The controlling date, though, is that October 1 date, just like you mentioned. So October 1, regardless of when they start, is our completion date.
What you needed, man?
So I assume we would want to get them started earlier since we're moving forward with Old Canal Days. I believe we probably still need more grindings.
We do need grindings down there to finish off. We have a pretty good pile down there already. However, yes, the additional grindings we'll get from this year will finish off the southern portion and then progress into the western portion.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Oh, anybody got anything else? All good? All right. Then we'll mosey into, we already did PD1, so I just jumped ahead earlier.
Yeah.
CA1, task order for V3 for,
There's one item under the
did I
GFOA, so the Government Finance Officers.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Association. That's right.
Yeah.
It is an award we've won 6 times now, I believe. And, this is something that the finance takes very seriously. I see Maggie still here tonight. Thanks for coming for the PD and staying. And Lisa and Maggie do a phenomenal job. It's just it's a really important thing that when we talk about finance and public dollars, and public trust, and when we have auditors go through all of our books, and when you look at our budget, I mean, look how thick our 2020 budget is, right? And there's a lot of information and material here, and every detail is scrutinized by the auditors, and then there's an application they put in, and they scrutinize it even more, and so not every city gets this. And so I just wanted to bring this up to the council's attention that Lisa, Maggie, and her staff have earned this, and it's a great recognition for our city.
Yeah, bravo. And,
Can we do a picture with Maggie and Lisa and the mayor?
Lisa and Maggie, you
Ben,
guys are awesome. It's unbelievable.
I just wanted to say from one accountant to another, congrats. That's quite an accomplishment.
Take your mask off. Looks like the disc on the wing. All right, everybody hold their breath. We'll take a mask off.
Steve, take one more without the mask. I've been holding my breath for 5 minutes.
Well done.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, Maggie and Lisa, forgive me, I passed over it, I was still befuddled because I got in here late talking to the Boy Scouts, so I screwed that up, but you guys do a wonderful job, and we're very blessed to have you guys as our, finance team, and thank you again.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
All right, my friends.
Thank you. CA1 is a task order for V3 to look at some Phase 1 engineering of Illinois 7, Archer and New Avenue intersection as an improvement project. We've looked at this a few months ago, maybe 10 months ago, for the potential of a roundabout at that intersection. I've got an aerial here. A few other locations that we'd like to add them, in particular out at 355 when we started looking at the potential for cameras out there, Christina, when you asked that a few months ago. So we're going to be bringing that back to you too at some point with a cost estimate. But in the meantime, we realized we needed a few more of these devices. The fire district has asked us to amend our agreements. We had not one but two agreements. We're going to ask for a resolution to combine them, right, Sonny? You might want to explain the business part of this for me.
Yeah, let me clarify. There was actually, the whole project was supposed to be one agreement. For whatever reason, two agreements were passed, 15-003 that was approved in December and 15-004 that was approved in October. The correct version is the 15-004. So at this time, we would be withdrawing the amendment to the agreement that is 15-004, which is Resolution 21-019. What is before you today is a revised resolution that is highlighted, revised today, Resolution 21-020, that adopts the amendment, that approves the amendment to agreement number 15-004 that would include the cost of installation to said traffic signal preemption system devices on a 50-50 basis. So I think it was an oversight for whatever reason.
Back in 2015,
yeah. 2015, there wasn't a sharing of the cost of installation. The amendment to the agreement also allows for the parties to agree where the devices would be located, and the revised version repeals agreement 15-003, which is a redundant or duplicative agreement. So resolution 21-020 should be placed on consent. We're requesting that to be placed on consent, and if there's any questions, I'm sure either Ben or I could answer them.
If it's confusing because of the resolution changes, we can leave it as action. It's not a problem. Maybe we should do that as an action and just clarify the
Yeah,
one. It'll be just one
or
vote.
just the revised one is.
Revised one would be the one.
Well, are you guys okay? Well, first off, are there any questions on it? Okay. Are you guys okay with the revised one on consent then?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think JR was only good with it as long as he got a little thing in his car that he could.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm
Go
still
through
waiting
that.
for one of those myself, yeah.
All right.
Terry
So
won't let me have one.
consent then. All right, very good. All right, AT1, what do we got?
Item 821 is an amendment to the restated annexation agreement to adding a property that is about 9 acres.
Would you turn your mic on, please?
Oops, sorry, I had it off, okay. So item 81 before you is an amendment to the already prior existing annexation agreement. Back in 2019, the City Council approved the annexing of a property located at 14106 Archer Avenue, which is on the corner off of Archer Avenue and Bishop Street. So at that time, there was no development. The property was annexed and rezoned to C3 Highway Commercial District within the city. Subsequent to that, the owner of the property acquired the north property, 9-acre property into the city. And if I could have someone click on to the next slide so we could see. Oh, there was. There it is. I got your back. Okay. No, yeah. So they didn't put it in the revised PowerPoint, whoever put it in. Okay, this one. So the parcel on the south, the corner with the parcel identification number ending in 003, that was annexed in 2019. So at the same time, the right-of-way was vacated to that property owner, and now the property owner also bought the parcel north of that with the PIN number ending in 009. The petitioner, the owner, is requesting that parcel with 009 be added to the annexation agreement, be annexed, rezoned C3 Highway Commercial, and in addition to that, be rezoned to, in addition to that, have a special use for a unique use to allow the outdoor storage of bag mulch. The mulching production is done at the northern parcels, north of the ComEd parcel with the PIN number ending in 002. So what is being contemplated is that the mulch product from the northern parcel would be transported to the consolidated parcels ending in 009, the right-of-way in 003. And the annexation agreement also lists prohibited uses that would include no large truck stop establishment or large truck stop as defined under the Illinois Video Gaming Act. The special use for the unique use will only apply to the current owner. So if the property is sold, then that special use for the unique use would end, and or if there's a cessation of that business for more than 6 months, it would also automatically end. We request the City Council to hold a public hearing on February 17th to consider the annexation agreement and the annexation and approve Resolution 21-021, which requires a 2/3 vote, so the mayor will be voting, and ordinance number 21-005 that will annex the property. The petitioner, the owner, and the owner's counsel are not here for health reasons, but we are more than happy to entertain them. We told them they don't have to be here. We're more than happy as staff to answer any questions. So if there's any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions, concerns?
And Lance will go through some of the more specific details of the special use for the unique use. I'm just here to kind of talk about the annexation agreement.
Okay. So we'll put that up for a public hearing then? That's what we're looking for? Okay.
Yeah, I gotta go back.
Yep, back to, and item 81 is, it deals with the same owner, and also the owner, same owner, Mr. Ron Reposh, owns Reposh Investment LLC. So off the corner of Archer Avenue and 143rd Street, there are pieces of properties, a total of 17.82 acres in size, in which the petitioners, Combined Asset Development and Reposh Investment, have requested that those parcels be annexed into the city, be rezoned as C3 Highway Commercial within the city's zoning district, and be granted a special use for unique use to allow semi-truck parking, but only to the parcel with the address of 16464 West 143rd Street. So what's highlighted in blue. So we're not talking about the unique use for semi-parking for any of the parcel except for that 14464 West 143rd Street parcel. So just like the prior annexation agreement, there is a list of prohibited use, including the prohibited use of a large truck stop establishment or large truck stop as defined in the Illinois Video Gaming Act. And again, as similar to the prior item, the unique use to allow the semi-truck parking and storage shall not run with the land. It only applies to the current owner, Combined Asset Development, LLC. We're requesting that the City Council hold a public hearing on February 17th and vote to approve Resolution 21-022, which approves the annexation agreement by two-thirds vote, so the mayor votes, and approve ordinance number 21-006 that annexes the property and requires only simple majority vote, so the mayor doesn't vote. So again, the petitioner and council are not here for health reasons, and I would be more than happy to entertain any questions. The detail of the actual special use for the unique use will be discussed in
ED1.
detail by Lance.
Okay, so we'll have a public hearing on that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is it 17 acres that will be trucking, or how many
No.
acres will be trucking there?
Again, the parcel that is only being impressed with the special use for the unique use is the parcel highlighted in blue. So that will be,
Roughly 8.2 acres.
Yes.
8.2. So it'll be the front 8.2 acres on Archer Avenue. Do they have to create any barrier or like making it look nicer? Oh, you will talk about that, okay.
That will be discussed by Lance regarding the buffering, landscaping, any other
Probably
pavement
skip
requirements.
AT3 for now and let him go into CED1, into the details. We'll come back to your.
Yep, with the
session
semi-annual.
thing
If that's
there.
okay, then that way, if there's any
Yeah,
questions.
okay, thank you.
Because remember, this is kind of operating as such in the county already right now. They're just,
Yeah.
we're bringing them into the city and making some improvements. So Lance, with that, why don't you?
Yeah, with that, well, Lance, why don't you go ahead and CD1,
Okay.
CED1.
So for this one, this is to rezone this, Sonny introduced a lot of this stuff, so I'm just gonna repeat a couple things. This is to rezone the parcel from C3 commercial, A1 agricultural, and A2 agricultural that is in the county to C3 highway commercial in the city with a special use permit, as Sonny outlined, for a unique use to allow semi-truck parking as a principal use for the existing Homer Industries site that is outlined in blue on your screen. The overall property is the yellow dashed line. It's probably better shown on their annexation area. What is in yellow on your screen is the overall annexation area to be brought into the city, and where you see annexation parcel number 8, kind of down in the lower left-hand corner, that is the parcel that would be impressed with the special use permit. The overall intent of the project is to ultimately relocate and consolidate all of Homer Industries operations on the west side and the north of Archer Avenue, Route 171. That's the goal, so that this would then be sold as a commercial property, given its high-profile location and high visibility at 143rd and Archer. So those are all the moving pieces that we're trying to accomplish here, so it doesn't stay in perpetuity as stands landscaping. It rather gets redeveloped in the future to something that has a higher and better use in total. So that's the goal. The property is overall comprised of 8 different parcels. As Sonny mentioned, it's 17.82 acres. The largest parcel was 8.2. There are 7 additional abutting parcels, 5 of which are vacant, 1 of which has a single-family home on it that is currently rented. The other one had a single-family home on it. It was vacated and donated to the fire district, who used it as test cases for putting out fires and different things like that. It is no longer on the site because they burned it down. This was considered at the January 12th, 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The applicant was present and did answer questions. There was one resident that lived adjacent to the property who requested two different items. He requested that the existing lights that are being used be shielded so that they don't glare into his backyard anymore and his bedroom windows. The applicant agreed to that. He also requested landscaping and screening be utilized along the frontage, specifically along Archer. Following on to that, the Commissioner Portfolio requested that a fence be utilized from the north corner of the property around the horn at 143rd Street to connect in with the office building that is currently existing on the site. All of those have been accommodated by the applicant that we'll go through here in a second. Based on the findings of fact in the PZC recommendation, they did find that there was evidence presented to establish that the parcel be impressed with the special use permit for that unique use, subject only to the current owner, as Sonny outlined, and does not transfer with the land. This provides us with a level of assurance that truck parking will not be expanded on the site, nor will it continue in perpetuity. If the land ever transfers to somebody else, that approval expires with it. As Sonny outlined as well, there are some limitations to the uses that can be done on that site once it's rezoned. And the Plan Commission agreed that the C3 zoning designation was appropriate for the site. So on this screen, what you see here is basically the conditions that are listed out in the in the PZC's recommendation shown onto a graphic. So the darker green circles with the red are new evergreens, 8 feet tall. The lime green larger circles are new shade trees. There is a fence that is highlighted by a white line with circles that run along with it, that runs from that north corner around the end at 143rd Street, back on 143rd Street to connect to the office building or their parking lot that's directly on the west side of the building. They will improve 2 of the aprons on Archer Avenue and on 143rd Street to new city standards. They will sod in a portion of the gravel that currently extends beyond where the fence will ultimately go. They are going to remove or reconfigure the existing sign frame that's been out there for 3 decades or more. They will, if they do kind of reformat it, they're going to meet the city zoning standards and zoning codes for height, material, appearance, all of those different types of things. They are going to remove the bulk storage bins. So when Stan's was there, that's where they kept all of the mulch, gravel, boulders, and things like that. They're going to take all of those off the site and clean that section of it up as well. So those kind of go over some of the physical improvements, but as far as the recommendation, the PZC did adopt our findings of fact contained in the staff report and recommended approval of the rezoning, subject to the conditions that were outlined in your report, that the special use for a unique use is non-transferable for any reason and is only valid for the current operations. The applicant is to provide a plat showing all structures, including the buildings, with a legal description, that the paved driveway, and this is a change that has occurred after discussion with the applicant, the paved driveway entrance connecting Archer Avenue on 143rd Street into the west truck yard, that was exchanged to get the aprons redone according to the city standards at both of those locations. There will be a fence that matches the fence that will be installed on the other project on the west side of Archer that runs from the north portion of the existing parking area along Archer south to 143rd and then back to the office building. And then in addition, the applicant will install as many trees as possible in front of the fence. They will remove the abandoned bulk bins and the old sign frame at the corner of 143rd and Archer. Again, the intent of both annexations is to locate all the bag storage on the West Archer site. Bags will be removed from this parcel that you see out there right now, and no other bags can be stored on this site after the other site is in use, and no expansion relevant to the existing operation can occur. The lots with the homes on them, or homes formerly on them, will need to be vacated once the property sells, and that the SUP, special use permit, does not transfer with the sale of the property. With that, I will take any questions. The request is to place this case on the consent, or, well, I have to go on the
It has
action
yeah.
agenda.
They will be mirroring the annexation agreement, so both items will be on the action.
So this will be associated with ordinance number 21003.
We show them the aerial.
Yes.
Yeah. Questions, concerns?
Maybe I missed it, but maybe it's in here. Is this then, I assume, consistent with our corridor study?
Yes. So our corridor study shows this site as a highway commercial site intended for either inline retail or a destination restaurant or something along those lines. It is a slightly challenging site in that it has two tiers. So if you know where the current semis park, that's on the lower tier where stands used to have all the greenhouses located. And then there's an upper tier that is basically framed in by a retaining wall. So there, ultimately, once it's developed, there probably will be some unique ways in which the site's going to have to be done to take advantage of those two different tiers. But the intent is, yes, it does follow the plan that we are currently underway with.
He plans to market it, and he wants it to sell it as commercial, right? So this is probably a temporary use, but, if it doesn't sell, then it'll be here.
Yeah.
Looking at the landscaping plan we have out here, because it's such a major intersection, and we would see it as almost a entryway into future use of Archer, I would like to see increased landscaping at the corner, because it is a unique corner. So if they're going to do a new sign, I would want more than just 2.5 caliper minimum diameter trees and 2 bushes at the intersection. I think there can be a little more creativity there. And also along 143rd Street, I count 2 bushes. I think we can do better there in terms of increasing the variety along 143rd, because I know there's going to be that fence there. So if we break it up just a bit, and then if they can just come back to us with a more dense, more creative, better landscaping plan.
Any comments on Archer?
Regarding the landscaping,
Mm-hmm.
I would want to see all 3 sides.
Okay.
Just give us something a little more dressed up.
Okay.
It is a major focal point.
Exactly.
Yeah, there are some existing areas that he has some retaining walls out there currently. We have recommended that those be added to and dressed up, and the retaining walls reset so that they're cleaned up significantly. Technically, as a part of a special use permit, a detailed landscape plan isn't typically required, although we can certainly request as much detail as we can from him in order that everybody feels comfortable with what the solution will be.
Do the trucks that are there have to only be pertaining to that business?
Yes.
So they cannot bring any other trailers, trucks, any other vehicles unless it is that business's vehicle? So they can't store anybody else's there?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Good point.
Anything else, my friends? Okay, you want to move on to the next?
Yep. So this one is the companion project to the one that we just talked about. Sunny went into great detail on all the different parcels, so I will not bore you with that information. They are seeking a special use permit for a unique use, a rezoning to C3 highway commercial upon annexation, and preliminary and final development plan review for the proposed bag storage yard at the property at 14106 Archer Avenue. This is the intent to expand the operation to the south, consolidate in the future everything that's on the 143rd Street site that we just talked about. and utilize the ComEd easement, which is identified as pin 002 on your screen as their transfer spot between the 2 yards. That will not be, the ComEd site will not be utilized for any storage of any sort. It will just simply be a transfer location between them. This is the parcel that would be consolidated that Sonny had mentioned before. There are the 3 parcels. The one that was previously annexed down in the lower portion of that screen, it ends in 003, and then you can see the sliver of right-of-way directly above that, and then the larger parcel is the 009 parcel. Everything surrounded by yellow would be consolidated and put into place with a rezoning all to C3. These are some views of the property from Archer Avenue. This is the furthest south portion. This is the one that was annexed previously. Basham Drive is to your left on the screen. This then is the area of consolidation, like I said, as well as the special use permit for the outdoor bags for unique use. This also includes final development plans as well. So what you see on your screen here is the layout plan basically for the overall yard site. The detention basin is in the northern part of that graphic. The storage area is kind of the shaded gray area that will be filled with asphalt grindings, and there is an existing office building that is out there right now that has been there for quite a while that is not in this current plan. From a landscape plan standpoint, they meet all of our landscape plan requirements. They have screening that goes all the way around the entire frontage of the property. The remainder of the property is all wooded, especially by the applicant's home in the upper left-hand portion of the screen. There are existing trees, as noted on that plan, that are along the west side. There is a condition in the approval recommendation that if anything happens to those existing trees, the applicant will be required to install screening that is consistent with what is being installed everywhere else. And then we have a suggested motion. The Plan Commission voted 6-0 to adopt the findings of fact that were in the staff report and recommended approval of the rezoning to C3 highway commercial and the special use permit for the outdoor storage for unique use. The following conditions were put in place by the commission. The special use permit only allows storage of mulch bags up to 6 feet tall. No parking can occur on the adjoining ComEd property until they can provide written approval from the property owner, i.e. ComEd, that the property is able to be used for parking. They have moved all of their cars off of that site since the meeting. If approved as a part of any future application, the truck parking will require a drive aisle constructed to the city's requirements. That starts at the origination location and ends in the mulch yard, the new mulch yard. The storage of any materials across the site can't be any taller than the fence that is provided on the south and western portions, that is 6 feet tall. As I mentioned earlier, if any tree removals occur, they're required to put in place screening items that are consistent with what is already, or what is being approved. No outdoor lighting is being approved as a part of this project, and so if they would do any outdoor lighting in the future, they would need to come back to the city to have that approved. We think this is actually a positive thing for the neighbors, so that they don't end up with what could be very tall pole lights out in the yard that could, very similar to what the gentleman across from the 143rd Street site is dealing with, that could shine in there. So we want to make sure that we have control over that when and if it does happen. The unique use special use will only apply to this current owner and operator. It will not run with the land. The item number 8 was removed because he agreed to deliver that information to us at a later date to prove that he does have access to go ahead and transfer those goods between the properties, and the unique use shall cease upon sale or transfer of the property. Corollary to that is a motion to approve the preliminary and final plans with our typical conditions, that the crossing of the unincorporated ComEd property will need to be addressed, and any outstanding engineering comments will need to be addressed. There were only a few small items that were still outstanding, and that new signage, if it was ever proposed in the future, will need to adhere to the city's sign code, and that a separate sign permit would be required.
I do have to comment one additional thing about this item, that if there's any future development for outdoor storage of trucks, parking or trucks, that the developer or the new owner would have to comply with the current city code that would require paving.
Yeah.
So there was discussion with the applicant that that's a possibility in the future. If that happens, they need to pave that area.
Yeah, we talked, we'll say at length, about the transfer of their trucks from the 143rd Street site to this new site. If they would transfer those trucks to this particular parcel, it would need to be subject to a separate development plan that would need to meet all the city's requirements for asphalt and paving and curbs and drainage and all that kind of stuff. Or they could be allowed to relocate them to portions of the existing yard where they already have some approvals to be able to do that and areas to be able to store them. So I wanted to be very clear that this was not a site for just random truck parking throughout the area.
All right, questions, concerns? All right. We'll go ahead and put this on the action item 2 after the public hearing.
Okay.
All right, why don't we jump to our guests here from auto repair property?
Okay.
We'll do CED 3.
All right, so this one, CED 3, is a special use permit for auto repair at the property located at 1600 South State Street. This is PZC case number 2020-021. This is the property that's located on the southeast corner of Division and State Street. The applicant, Robert Aldworth, on behalf of Gearheads Auto, who is the future tenant, who is here tonight to answer any questions if you have any, is seeking approval of special use permit to allow for an auto repair shop for the property located at 1600 South State. This is a property that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. It has been an auto repair shop for many moons, we'll say, and the use had ceased for over a year, and so as a part of our code, we do require that they need to reestablish the special use permit once any use ceases for over a year. The owner of the property brought Mr. Aldworth in to talk with us and review his plan for using the property as an auto repair store. The facility is obviously, as you might imagine, set up for an auto repair shop. It has all of the traps and the filters and the drains and the floors throughout the site to basically run it as an auto repair store. We have worked with the applicant quite a lot over the past couple weeks to try and come to agreements on improvements that need to occur on the site in order to bring it up to our current code standards. These are pictures of the existing conditions that you find currently on the site. And what we have concluded, and this is an image of some of the conditions that are in your staff report, but in essence, they will construct a right out only onto Division. This will be a new concrete apron that'll meet the city standards. There will be an access point on 16th Street that is consistent with the existing access point, but it will be reconstructed to meet the city standards. They are going to take out a significant portion of the asphalt that you see sloped down to State Street, and they're going to redo that in a landscaped area to help screen the parking and drive access point. They're also going to grass in the other portion of the parkway that's on State Street as well, so it's really just going to be the sidewalk. So this should clean up that corner pretty significantly. They're going to add landscaping up on top of the wall along Division Street. That'll have, I believe there are arborvitae along that frontage to help screen that, as well as a new fence to prevent falling over into that area, as well as 2 new trees. There is a foundation landscaping area adjacent to the existing parking on 16th Street that will be landscaped, as well as adjacent to their main entrance They're going to resurface all of the asphalt on the site. Our engineering team is going to work with them to define the limits of it based on some testing and excavation once they get into it. And they're going to combine all of the downspout drains to a new storm sewer connection to limit what you see in this picture on your left, where all of the downspouts basically drain out onto the asphalt currently, which in winter, as you might imagine, creates some pretty significant fall hazard issues. So all of those are included in it. It will be employee parking only on the south side. I'll run through those conditions that the Plan Commission assigned to it. We'll need a new business permit from the building department. All repair activities are going to take place inside the building and enclosed, and there will not be any inoperable vehicles stored outside of the building. Expansion will not occur, which could result in a revocation of the permit. The parking lot and premises are going to be operated in an orderly manner within the parameters of this approval. The off-site spaces on 16th Street are for employee only, and they will have signage accordingly. Any new outdoor lighting beyond what is existing there currently would need to be reviewed and approved by city staff. And the site plan illustrating the parking lot and the details, as I've just gone through, has been submitted. We actually received an updated plan today that shows many of the things that we have identified on this plan as well. So we are in good shape there. All improvements are going to be done by July 31st of this year, and any new signage will need to adhere to the city's sign code. That'll be submitted as a separate permit. This is ordinance number 21002. And request is to put it on the next meeting.
Thoughts, questions, concerns?
I have a question. I'm all for your. Go, yeah, I'm all for this. You know, I'm going to be 61 next month, and I've been going past that building that's been an auto repair shop for 61 years. It's probably been there another 30, 40 years prior to that. My question is for Lance, who's actually receiving the special use permit? Is it the property owner?
Yes.
Or is it, to which the next?
So it is the property owner.
Okay, so then the next question is has the property owner met all their financial obligations for all properties that he owns within the city of Lockport?
Yes, they have. They have submitted receipts for those payments.
Specifically the one at 1700 State Street?
To my knowledge, I have for sure received receipts for this parcel.
I know this one's okay. I want to know about the other one, and if the other one has not been taken care of, would this then prohibit a special use permit?
Are you
Because he
talking
hasn't
about
met his obligations.
if there's any debt or obligation or taxes owed to the city, it will impact this
I can
approval of
look
this?
that up right now.
Yeah. As for the question regarding the application or how the special use applies, the city council could limit the special use for this particular user. It's been done for the Tamala Hotel, that as long as this user operates the property, the special use applies, it doesn't run with the land, and if this owner or this operator or tenant, even the tenant, you know, if the tenant ceases the operation, that special use can terminate, and it can be conditioned that it terminates without any further action by the city council. So that's an option if the city council wants to put that in there.
See, I don't have any problem with, I just want to make sure that the owner of the property is clear on all the other properties.
Actually, my preference would be to have it run with the tenants and not the property owner, just simply because of some history. So I would prefer to have it run with the tenant.
We'll draft the special use ordinance specifically for this tenant, for the operation that it seizes upon the current tenant operating the property.
Any other questions?
Does that help resolve your issue, Darren, if it runs only with the tenant?
I haven't got the answer to my question.
We will also, since this is an action item, we have 2 weeks to look into this matter. We will determine whether there's any debt, taxes, or any penalties, fees that's owed to the city, and we will bring that up, and we will make sure that the owner resolve those issues prior to the final approval.
I think Darren just wants to show off his software. I'll get there right now. Meanwhile, though, is there any other questions, concerns? All right, well, we'll definitely have it on for action item, so we'll be able to find out Darren's research.
Well, I'll know.
No, I didn't know if you guys had any questions or anything, so I figured it'd be better to come up here than sit back there.
That's all good.
For the record, could we get your name?
My name's Robert Aldworth. I'm James Aldworth.
And you guys would be operating the business?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this your first business doing this?
No, I own another shop called Gearhead's Auto in Mokina.
Okay, very good. All right, fellas. Well, hopefully this works out, and welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we'll put it on for an action. All right, let's get back to AT3.
Oh, yes. Now back to 823. So, Mayor, members of the City Council, just like your semi-annual teeth cleaning that I did yesterday, the Open Meetings Act requires a semi-annual review of closed session meeting minutes. It could be done anytime throughout the year. Attached is what is considered to be Schedule A, which is meeting minutes that should not be released because there's confidentiality still exists, or some of the meeting minutes have sensitive items that should not be released. What is attached as Schedule B is a executive session meeting minutes that can be released because there's no need to keep them closed. And as required, the City Council is supposed to review them. They're available in my office if anyone wants to come and peruse through any of the meeting minutes. I am going to make a slight request for any for the resolution to include that any closed session meeting minutes not already approved be approved. So normally I would put that in there. I inadvertently forgot it, but it's it will be the resolution 21-029 would be approving Schedule B that is attached that should be released, and Schedule A that is attached that should not be released, and that any closed session meeting minutes not already approved would be deemed approved. So if there's any questions, I would be more than
Good.
Yeah, Darren's approval. That's
Yes.
tough.
It's like a wizard. All right. BW2. Yeah. That would have came up a lot faster when you were 60.
No, it was computer error.
All right. What do you got for PW2?
PW-2 is our typical reduction, release of letter of credit. This is for Phase 2 in Oak Creek. Oak Creek is essentially, they have built out their Phase 2 portion of the development. I think there's a few lots that remain or in the building stage on a few homes. They have put down their final lift on asphalt. All of the utilities have been inspected, all of the landscaping. So this evening, we would be asking for council's concurrence to release this letter of credit. And as always, this is contingent upon a 10% maintenance bond. This is a one-year maintenance bond, so if there were to be any issues over the next year, we would be able to utilize those funds. This is resolution number 21-023, and looking for consent.
Any questions?
Excuse me, I just wanted to ask, is a year long enough for, to really get a good feel whether or not?
Yes. In almost all situations, that year it really means 4 or 5, 6 years. By the time that, like Oak Creek Phase 2, that has been out there for a number of years. So we've gotten to see and experience the roadway, the binder course, which really, that's where you're going to see your failures. So the asphalt, the surface course that gets put on, that's your riding surface. Your binder is where you're going to see the issues. So we've seen binder out there for a number of years. It would have developed into an issue by now. The concrete sidewalk, same deal. It's you get a lot more years than that. This one-year maintenance is really, it's just that extra guarantee that, ensures that when we do release this, we have one more year. Yep.
All right, so we'll have that on consent. New valve trailer.
PW-3, purchase of a new valve trailer. Valve trailers, this is used for all of our water valves throughout the city. We have about 2,500 valves, and so we do an annual valve exercising program. Our current valve exerciser it's reached its useful life. It's trailer mounted. However, the new trailer mounted that we're looking at, it's got an arm. It's got about a 16-foot extension on it. So right now, in order to get to a valve, you've got to back this thing very close to it. This 16-inch arm extension will allow us to get to valves that are inside yards, hard to reach areas. We won't have to drive over, into backyards as much or side yards. So it's a nice piece of equipment. It is, again, it's replacing an existing, so it's not a new item per se. It's replacement of an old, but will allow us to continue our valve exercising in-house. We're looking for the expenditure of $80,146.58 to purchase this, and it is resolution number 21-026, and we would be looking for $80,146.58 to be expended on a new valve trailer. Consent request.
All right, questions, concerns? All right, sounds like consent is okay. Very
Thank you,
good.
Mayor. Thank you, Council. Next item, PW-4. This is for our design of 3rd and Hamilton. As Council's aware, we've done quite a bit of work in, I would say, the central Lockport area. From the north end, which is essentially Thornton, to 18th Street, and from State over to Madison. These two blocks in particular, 3rd and Hamilton, they were just outside of last year's project. They were not a key element, and so I think when we initially were pulling the projects together, these two blocks just we're just outside of that. So essentially what we have is we have 2 blocks remaining, and we're asking for council's consideration to design those this year. Construction would hopefully be next year. Additionally, and I know that there's a little bit of detail in Chamlin's contract, but we also have an old booster station, and it's at Hamilton Street and Table Street. That old booster station, if you drive down to this area, you'll see it almost looks like a submarine hatch kind of deal looking out, poking out of the ground. It hasn't been utilized, it hasn't been used, it hasn't been opened in a number of years. So what we're looking to do is eliminate, there's a lot of crisscrosses there, some valves, a lot of additional equipment in the ground that we no longer need. So we also have worked with Chamlin to put together a preliminary design. In the past, this would finish up that design and allow us to do both projects simultaneously. So to get a better job, bigger project, we thought about doing just this booster station a couple years ago, but again, it would have been a very small job. We would have been paying a premium to get it done. So I feel like this is a great job to attach it to. So we'd be looking for, again, council's consideration this evening to award Chamlin Associates. Dollar figure is $71,500, and this is resolution number 21-025, and looking for a consent.
Questions, concerns? All right, sounds good. We'll put it on consent.
Thank you, Mayor. And the final item this evening, PW-5. This is a little bit of housekeeping. So every 2 years, IDOT asks us to prepare and approve a resolution for construction in the state right-of-way. Anytime that we have a main break, if we didn't have this resolution, we would have to try to reach out to them, make contact, let them know that we have an emergency, try to get emergency permits. This allows us to essentially bypass that for 2 years. So we would be looking this evening for the approval of Resolution 21-031 to allow us to again, bypass some of this paperwork and bypass some of the time for each of these individual issues, and looking for consent on that item as well.
All good, any questions? All right, consent it is.
Thank you.
All right, anybody got any new business? All right, if there's no new busyness, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Renee and Mark, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, well, I like it. None of that roll call stuff. Okay, we'll give Kathy a minute to get set up. Boy Scout project, it's a city project. The Boy Scouts let us put it on their property. Yeah.
That was just my question. It just shows up in bills, it doesn't tell me what it's for, so.
Yeah,
It doesn't even tell me what, it just says that's a bill, so.
Sure. Yeah, that was for it was a direct line that ties into the Boy Scouts, and it goes out.
Renee, we need. Oh, my gosh.
Are we ready? Roll call?
Yeah, please, roll call.
All right, roll call. Saban. Schreiber.
Here.
Bergbauer. Here. Galogly.
Here.
Deskin.
Here.
Lobes.
Here.
Bartleson.
Here.
Beretta.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, we're looking for a motion to have a consent agenda this evening.
So moved.
I got Christina and Renee, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, tonight we have the CL1 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes from January 20th, regular City Council meeting minutes from January 20th, our payroll period ending January 24th. There's CA1, a license agreement with the Highlands Ridge Apartments for the maintenance of the 2 parcels. There is AT1, which is an amendment to Chapter 111, having a deputy liquor commissioner. There's an amendment to the development agreement for the Clover Ridge Townhomes, Resolution 21001. There's a request to purchase the four Ford Police Interceptor utility vehicles. There's the MFT resolution for maintenance of streets and highways, Resolution 21003. There's the release of the bond for the GG Temple. We've got a release of the letter of credit for the Heritage Crossing Building 5, release for the letter of credit for Prologis Phase 1, including Buildings 1 and 2, release of the bond for Prologis Building 3. There's a authorized a task order for Christopher Burke for the design and construction engineering services of the 2021 resurfacing program. There's the purchase of the Versalift bucket truck and a purchase of a Ford F-450 service truck. So looking for a motion to approve.
And Mayor, before you, if I could, before the motion is being made, just for clarification for the record, what's before you is a corrected meeting minutes from January 20th. It's highlighted, corrected 2/3/2001, today's date. So that will be what is considered to be on the consent agenda. Also, the other item is the Highland license agreement. There's a slight change that when we presented the license agreement, the developer wanted to put a fence on the southern portion of 143rd Street. It doesn't really change the substantive part of the agreement. It's just a...
If you want, but they've asked to put a fence along 143rd for safety purposes. We saw no reason to deny that. It's a good idea. But we can leave it in consent if you're aware of it.
Is everybody comfortable with keeping it as a consent?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now looking for a motion to approve consent agenda. Larry, seconded by, who was it? Christina, Renee? Oh, Renee, there you go. Have a roll call, please.
You got it. Saban.
Yes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Loeb.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes.
Coretta.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next we have, looking for a motion to approve our bills from January 26th. Larry? Seconded by Joanne. Any questions, concerns? May I have a roll call, please?
I'm sorry, your clerk was talking. Who motioned and seconded?
I made a motion.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It was, yeah, Larry and Joanne.
Larry and Joanne. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, roll call. Saban.
Yes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
I abstain because the city of Lockport is paying my employer.
Okay. Deskin.
Yes.
Lobes.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes.
And Coretta.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next is CA1. It's looking for a motion to approve the revised renewal.
Mayor, before we get to that item, just for parliamentary procedure, the clerk needs a movement and a second for the motion to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting, just for the purpose of meeting minute
Did we not
keeping.
do that?
We did.
If we could get the name
Oh, man, nobody remembers that. Who did that? Christina Renee? There you go.
and the motion would have been passed by voice vote. Thank you.
Okay, done.
Thank you.
Sorry, we probably went too fast. Apologize, Kathy. All right, so now we're looking for a motion to approve memorandum of understanding with ID&R and City of Lockport for the State Museum. And a motion for that.
Second.
All right, Renee and JR, questions, concerns, thoughts?
Yeah, we do have one update, Mayor and members of the council. Nothing within the agreement has changed other than one thing. The state did request that, originally they had asked us for a 3-year agreement. They did contact us and ask us if it was okay to extend it to a 5-year agreement. I didn't see any problem, but I wanted to bring that to your attention, that the memo has been revised to be a 5-year agreement when it's $6,000 a year.
Yeah, it would end in December 31, 2025.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. Is there any, what happens if like the building gets sold or something else happens? Is that
It would terminate.
problematic?
It would terminate. There's, obviously, this is a mutual agreement by all 3 parties. If any of the parties sent a notice regarding that, we will no longer be obligated to comply with the terms of the agreement because it's sold or a third party was dissolved or for other
Okay.
reason, you know.
I understand. Okay. Everybody okay with that? Like they've been a great asset to the city, so. All right, then we'll look for a roll call, please.
You got it. Saban. Yes. Schreiber.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Lobes.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes.
And Coretta.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, looking for a motion to approve the amendment to Chapter 70 of the City Code prohibiting trucks from driving over the curb sidewalk. Looking for a motion to approve ordinance 21001.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
JR and Joanne. Questions, concerns?
You ever get an answer about the bollards?
Yeah, I know we were working on that. We were talking to St. Charles about theirs.
We have to put together a full submittal to IDOT, so it's not going to be a quick yes or no. It'll be a process.
But at least we have some precedents, which is nice. So,
I mean, I hope we get, I anticipate we're going to get them. It's just going to be we'll submit, they'll give us a few comments, we'll submit, and back and forth a couple times, but we'll stay on it. Yep.
all right. Any other questions?
When did signage go up? Or wasn't signage part of this?
Yes, I
Yes.
believe it is.
It hasn't gone up yet, but.
We will be putting up signs in the appropriate locations.
St. Charles has.
Okay.
So it will go into effect when, then? After the signs?
I would
or-
say after the signage.
Okay, thank you.
All right, my friends, can I have a roll call, please?
You got it. Saban. Yes. Schreiber.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Lobes.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes.
And Paretta.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, last, we're looking for a resolution to approve, a motion to approve Resolution 21011. It's the engineering services for the Kelvin Grove Rear Yard Water Main Replacement Project.
So moved.
Second.
Darren and JR. Questions, concerns on this?
Weren't we looking for an answer for Darren on this?
Yeah,
That's
I
why
had-
we put it on an action item.
What did you, had to do with, like, if this was something that was done before, if I remember?
Not done.
I was able to make Darren extremely happy and tell him that, no, it had not been done. So we ended up having to add, we're adding the design of the additional 5 blocks to the south. It's Maitland, Runyon, and Putnam. 5 additional blocks that were not done. 1 block on Runyon water main had been installed. However, again, same deal, no front yard services have been put in. So, yeah, make you happy tonight, Darren. But
Well, it's literally is one of those things that I know we approved it 6 years ago and 7 years ago, and I was just shocked that it was never done.
There's this neighborhood and one other left, and
Correct.
this will take us probably 2 construction seasons to get completed, and, I mean, it's probably $1 million a construction season, so, I mean, after we design it, we gotta build it. It's the right thing to do. I mean, we did the same thing in Beamy a couple years back. You know, we've gotta have these mains out front.
Just as long as we didn't pay for it.
correct, yeah, I'm assuming we did. I guess I can verify. I'm certain that we did not pay for this and not receive the work. So this evening, we'd be looking again, this would be a total design. We would break it up into 2 projects, 2 construction seasons. So the north end would be 2022, south end would be 2023.
All right, any other questions then? Okay, now do a roll call, please.
Saban. Yes. Schreiber.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Galogly.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Lobes.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes.
And Paretta.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, my friends, any last words here? All good? All right, then we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we got Larry and I think I heard Mark, or whoever was good. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
We announce that we're moving forward looking at